Let's talk about the Christmas that we talked about.
No, dude. Okay, before we get into the Christmas where I was ungrateful, what do you think is the over-under on you crying during this episode?
I'm going to try not to.
Yeah, but I could see it for you. You're a crier.
Well, I get emotional about things.
You do get emotional about things.
Yeah.
If you cry, just make sure you look into the camera. That's what I'll say. If we're going to do it, let's really have a moment about it.
That get us more views if I
Yeah, I think if you're
put
going
the
to...
tears on. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you're going to cry, let's just really try to make some... Let's get the meat off the bone. Okay, tell them about this Christmas. Go ahead. What happened?
Okay. So I don't know if you guys are aware of back in the day, there was not... You could get online Thanksgiving night and... buy stuff from Walmart. You had to go and stand in line and literally fight people to get to what you wanted. So Caleb wanted a TV, and I go to Walmart.
So you're talking about I wanted a TV for my bedroom.
For his bedroom, yes.
And you went to a Black Friday sale.
I did, and I stayed. I mean, I think it was midnight, and I fought and clawed wounds. I got this TV.
You had wounds from the Black Friday sale.
It was probably that big.
I would go a little bit smaller.
You're not the one telling the story.
Okay.
So that was the size of the TV.
Uh-huh.
And Caleb basically said, fuck that.
Oh, God.
Basically.
Let's try not to be too dramatic on the podcast. You got it for me for Christmas. There's some missing details here.
Yes, it was for Christmas.
You got it for Black Friday. I opened it on Christmas morning, and I was not, you didn't like my reaction.
You cried.
Well, I don't think I cried right away.
No, there was only a few tears before you went to your room and broke down full throttle.
Okay, and what were you doing during that time?
Well, I went to my room and cried. Because I was heartbroken.
Because I wasn't appreciative enough. I wanted a bigger TV.
Yes, you wanted a bigger TV. And at that time, I was going to nursing school and I was working 3 jobs. And
yeah.
Caleb was very needy, and I just couldn't afford him.
Yeah. So look, no one would argue. I'm clearly the villain in this story. You obviously come off really well. Bringing up nursing school and the 3 jobs is a nice touch.
Yes.
It's a nice touch. That was the reality. It wasn't about the TV, though. We've talked about this Christmas. It wasn't about the TV. I was just depressed, I think, and I didn't have words for it. And I was also being a snotty little brat. But that's how kids are.
Yes, it is, and I think that that was a very sad time in your life, and I didn't even realize you were going through that, which is something I look back on, and it makes me very sad that you went through that alone. Because
you're referring to me being in the closet in Missouri and not really knowing what I'm doing and going to church and all that kind of stuff. That's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a weird time, but I was good. I mean, I was okay, but there were a lot of big feelings. And when you're like, what was I, 12, 13?
I'd say probably 13.
That Christmas? Mm-hmm. Might have been 11. I was pretty young. But I was definitely processing a lot of big feelings. And when you're that age, you don't have that backlog of data to know that it's going to be okay and that you can process big feelings and the next day can be better. You don't have any of that.
Right.
So you're just kind of crying at Christmas.
But you were older than 11, so.
Right. Might have been 9 or 10. You think I was 13?
Yeah.
It's a little too old to be behaving that way.
Well, I think that's what hurt the most is that you should have.
Yeah, 13's a little too old to be behaving that way. I should have known better.
But I've forgiven you.
Well, thanks. Do you think, I think I've made up for it. Do you think overall I was a good kid or a bad kid?
No, you were a very good kid.
Overall. Yeah. So were there a lot of heartbreaking moments, or is this kind of a standalone moment? I'm open to any answer.
A lot of the heartbreaking moments weren't per se what you did so much as I obviously decided to have kids very young.
Yeah.
I had your brother when I was 18. I had you when I was 21.
Yeah.
And I was a single parent. And so I missed out on a lot of things when, and there wasn't grandparents necessarily. So when other people, we had Grandparents' Day or whatever, and other people had their grandparents or had their parents there, and I wasn't there, that probably hurt me more than
stuff I did.
Yeah.
Like circumstantial things about being a single mom with not a huge support system.
Yeah, see, you wanted the tears, and that's something that still bothers me, that I couldn't be there for the important parts.
I cannot believe you're crying this early in the
I'm
episode.
sorry. You're going to cut this part.
Absolutely not. Make sure the tears glisten in the light. We need that in the camera, babe. Can we get her some tissues or something, somebody? I mean, we knew the crying would come, but we didn't know it would be this soon. There's people rushing off to get tissues. I mean, but was I exacerbating that? Was I making it worse? Like, were there times that I was being unreasonable about that stuff?
No, you were, I mean, like the TV situation, but for the most part, you were a pretty grateful child. You were very much a mama's boy, so you and I spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you spend 5 minutes with my dad, you'll start to get a picture of why I was a mama's boy. He wasn't. I love Dad. May he rest in peace. But he wasn't a blast.
Yes, that brings me to another story of Caleb. He was probably 3 years old, and he would maybe go spend 1 weekend a month with his dad.
Yeah.
And this maybe lasted for 3 or 4 months. Didn't last very long, but he would sneak into the kitchen or wherever the phone was. I don't know where the phone was. He would call me and beg me to call his dad, and not to tell him that he had called, but to call his dad and tell him I missed him and I wanted him to come home.
King.
Because he didn't want to be there.
King. He knew what he wanted. We got tissues for you.
And I would do it.
Chance, if you don't mind. Well, you would do it. So that you enabled me.
I was an enabler, yes.
Yeah, you enabled me. And you really you shouldn't have maybe enabled me so much, because I really got used to getting what I want.
Is that where it started?
Yeah, for sure. You have a huge role in whatever's going on here, whatever makes it to where I have to be talking into a microphone, seeking attention, begging, please, like me. There's something about, I think, you giving me what I want a lot as a kid that you definitely played a role.
Sounds more like you were neglected, if that's what you need.
No, there's something about being like, I like when I get what I want. It's good when people listen to me. Let's do that more. I think you played a role.
I probably did.
Well, I would say you're my parent.
I very much tried to give you guys everything that you wanted.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't succeed sometimes.
The TV could have been a little bigger, babe.
TV situation wasn't clear.
What's funny about you is the TV situation has never been brought up in my life. And in the last month, you have brought the TV situation up 5 or 6 times. You're addicted to the TV story right now.
Well, now that I've brought it up, it's like an open wound just festering. So now I feel that I need to talk about it and get those feelings out.
Not an open wound festering.
It kind of.
Yeah. I was 13. I do apologize about the TV. I've apologized to you off camera.
After today, we're going to try to let it go.
We're going to try to move on from the TV situation. I've moved on from having such a small TV. I hope you can move on from my reaction to it.
I gave you a bigger one when you left for college.
You did give me a bigger TV when I left for college. That was years later. It was a big gap in TV sizes there. I really struggled for a while.